I am going to introduce to you now Angela Faulkner. She is the Deputy Director of Grassroots at the Leadership Institute, which is focused on developing conservative leaders empowered to defend and advance the founding principles of our country. Please welcome Angela Faulkner.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being out here and being patriots. My name is Angela, and like she said, I'm with Leadership Institute. And Leadership Institute, we are founded in D.C. by Morton Blackwell back in 1979. And since then, we've trained over 300,000 conservatives across the country. And we do it by going into localities just like this. And we do training for people that are looking to run for office, to become an activist, to grow their organization, whatever we can do to make the conservative movement better. You ever watch the news and you see young people representing the conservative cause and you see campus reform sometimes? That's us. That's Leadership Institute. We take college kids and we make them conservatives and we make them talk show hosts. You may have heard of Riley Gaines. We have the Riley Gaines Center. In fact, I just did an event last week in Orlando with 500 women with Riley Gaines and a lot of folks coming out and talking about the transgender issue and how it's affecting women. So we have a lot of cool programs out there. But first, I want to do a little bit of therapy with all of you guys. I want you to repeat after me. I am not normal. Now, why would I insult my audience? Why would I come out here and call you guys a bunch of weirdos? Here is why. How many of you are going to go to church, school, whatever this week and say, hey, everybody, what'd you do this weekend? And somebody's going to say, well, I hung out with the grandkids, or, oh, we drove over and did some shopping. How many of your friends and neighbors are going to say, I sat outside on a rainy day and listened to political speeches? Anybody? Anybody? Yeah, okay, that exactly. So right now, if you are here, that means you are not normal. And why would I say that? Because it means that people like us that pay attention to politics don't always understand what it means to relate to people who don't participate in politics. We have to learn how to communicate in a way to win over the minds and hearts of voters. And that's what we've concentrated on at Leadership Institute. And Ronald Reagan said it best when he said that if I can agree with somebody 80% of the time, that makes them a friend and not an enemy. 2 months ago, there was a poll that came out by Rasmussen. Did you know that 1 in 2 Americans in the believe that we will be in a civil war within 5 years? Stop and think about that. Half of America thinks we're heading towards a civil war. That means that right now, everything we say and do matters. We are one step away from a match becoming an explosion. So what I would ask all of you to do is, well, let me ask, raise of hands, anybody out here know a Democrat? Okay, that's progress. Okay, how many out here love a Democrat? You guys, I have a liberal family member. Does anybody have that? Okay, so we're all family here. We get that. Okay, so as we do those things, if I go up and I'm trying to convince people that the conservative movement is where they should be, that we want conservative government, do I bring them to our cause by criticizing them? I don't. So you know what? I'm going to ask you to take out a few words out of your vocabulary this election cycle. We aren't going to call people rhinos. We're not going to call people establishment. We aren't going to call people libtards. We're not going to call people all the names that we call people, because when we call people names, we're basically saying, I don't think that I could ever convince you to come over to my side. And elections are all about majorities. We win with 50% plus 1 vote. And so to do that, that means we need a lot of people on the team. Not everybody on your team is going to feel the same way about every issue, and that's okay. What we do at Leadership Institute is we try to teach you about how to be effective communicators. It's one thing to come out here and to be with people who have the same heart and mind as all of us, but it's completely another thing to go out and influence other people. And if we are out there doing that, then our movement is dead. So yes, I'm glad that you're here, but I'm going to give you an assignment. Your assignment is to take your cell phone and become a volunteer. And what I mean by that is the average person has 600 contacts on their cell phone. The election is coming up. In Tennessee, we're going to be fairly safe in saying that Trump is going to get elected in Tennessee. But there are states where you guys have friends that it is on the edge right now. Pennsylvania, Nevada, North Carolina. I can go on and on about these battleground states. Get out your phone and just sit there while you're watching TV one night. Start harassing your friends. Harass them until they get a restraining order against you. Tell them, hey, have you voted yet? Did you know that voting is now open? Because it is. By next week, in most states, voting will be open. And so people are already casting ballots. And I got to tell you, there's some ballots that are being cast that we should be afraid of. So instead of worrying about those, let's make sure that our army that turns out, that it's much bigger and we don't have to worry about fraud after the election. Let's go ahead and get our friends out, because it's one thing to say the commercials tell you to get out and vote, but if I were to call my friend from high school from millions of years ago and say, hey, did you remember you live in a battleground state? Have you gone out and voted yet? Oh, Angela, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I haven't gone and done that yet. Well, you know what? Don't worry. I'll call you, or I'll remind you. I'll text you in 3 days just to make sure you've done that. I'll call them in 3 days. Hey, did you do that yet? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I swear. You know what? That's okay. I'll call you in 3 days. And I'm going to keep harassing you until you get that restraining order. That's how we're going to make this election. The personal ask. Go out there and invite people to the polls and ask them to be a participant in our election. More than that, you guys, the most important election after this election is going to be the 2026 election. And let me tell you why. Donald Trump, if he wins, the one thing the left is saying is that Donald Trump is going to become a dictator. You heard that, right? That's how they're scaring people to tell them. The best thing we can do is, one, give him a resounding victory so that they don't say he stole it. The second thing we can do is start training tomorrow for the 2026 cycle to make sure he has a Congress so that he doesn't have to do things through presidential decree. He can do it through the legislative process. That's the best thing we could do for our democracy today. So please go to www.leadershipinstitute.org, find our online programs, or bring us in. We'll go into any community. We have donors that fund these programs. We don't charge a lot of money for them. Our average programs are $15 per person, and that includes a meal. So please, let's start getting involved. I live here in Walland, even though our offices are in D.C., and so I'm your neighbor, I'm your friend, and I want to be involved with you. So thank you for being here, braving the weather, and hopefully we'll be in touch soon. Thank you.